Hi guys, it is Cammie from the Sarasota Dog Salon, and if you are watching the video, please take a second to hit the like button and subscribe so that you can see more. Today I'm actually home and I have been thinking of how to bring up this subject over the weekend to educate a little bit of everybody on the grueling topic that groomers are talking about, owners are talking about, people in general, and that is doodles. There is a doodle epidemic and they are not going away. They are only going to keep coming, and it's been a really rough topic and a touchy topic between groomers and owners, but on the back end of it, it is a #1 topic in the online groups for grooming. So I want to talk about this topic because we see doodles every day. In fact, there's 3 in my salon today. And there's a miscommunication somewhere where doodle owners that are buying the dogs don't understand how high maintenance they are, and the groomers that are grooming them are getting them in kind of bad condition, or there's some kind of gap where we can't get along on what we want the end result to be. So I want to talk about this. Let's come up with a solution, because #1, they're not going away. So we need to figure out how to communicate with each other about it, and figure out where the problem really starts. So let's start with that. Doodles aren't going away. They are a big percentage of our industry right now. So we have to figure out how to maintain this as it keeps coming. So what are the main issues that groomers have? We can start with that. The main issues that groomers have is that typical doodle owners will come in and they'll either bring a 6-month or a 9-month or sometimes a year-old doodle puppy that is not necessarily a puppy anymore, and they will expect us to groom it fully. Normally by the time the owner brings them in, they are starting to get matted because they've been maintaining it at home, but now it's unmanageable, so they need a groomer's help. And the problem with that is grooming is a training process for dogs. So if they're not introduced to it at a young age, right after their rabies vaccine, we introduce them slowly. Typically, we get them used to the bath, the blow dry, nail clipping, using the clippers on certain areas of the body, trimming around the face and the important areas. So when a dog comes in at 6, 9, or 12 months old, we're starting the process a little bit late. It's much more difficult because they're not used to it, and when the owner is brushing at home, maybe they're a little wiggly, they stop what they're doing when the dog bites, wiggles, whines, whatever, and so it makes our job harder because you're then teaching the dog that if they whine, bite, nip, wiggle, that you'll stop. And so with our job being harder, that is where we get frustrated, because there's unreal expectations out of the groomer, because we're being expected to brush, blow dry, bathe, comb out the knots on a dog that is not used to the process. So the unreal expectations, and then a lot of times they're already matted, so the only option is shaving them, and that in turn makes the owner really upset, because most doodle owners do not want their dog shaved. They like the fluffy look, but what they don't understand is the maintenance that goes behind that. Either the groomer has to see them more often, or there has to be more work done at home. And so that is where the communication gap is. And that's what irritates groomers. And what irritates owners is they like this fluffy dog, it's cute, and it has personality, and the hair just, kind of accentuates that personality, and they want to keep it as long as possible, and no one tells them that that is going to require lots of visits to the grooming salon. Nobody tells them that. So they come in with the expectation that we can do it all. It's a spa day. It's fun for the dog. And that we can brush the knots out that they couldn't get. So it's really not a matter of them coming in and already being irritated. It's just the fact that they're not educated in the dog that they have. So that's what I want to I want to close that gap, because between the two of us, if groomers educate the owners properly and you come up with a plan for the haircut, this is something that can be really easily managed. So all of our Doodle clients are on a recurring schedule, whether it's 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, or 8 weeks. And it just depends on what they're doing at home and what they want the dog haircut to look like. So what I want to also talk about is where this problem starts, because it doesn't start with the owner and it doesn't start with the groomer. It's not the groomer's fault that the dog is matted and has to be shaved because the owner's uneducated, and it's really not the owner's fault for being uneducated because no one told them this. So what I want to do, and what I ask of groomers in general and just the entire population of the grooming community, let's pretend like Doodles didn't exist, right? Let's just pretend like there's only purebred dogs, okay? And let's go back before the Doodle phase, right? So when an owner goes looking for a dog, they ask their friends, they look on social media, and they Google things, right? So nowadays, more and more, the people that are looking for dogs are finding Doodles. But before, if the Doodles didn't exist, they would still buy a dog. It would just be a different breed. And if it's a purebred, then what are the options? The options are you go through a friend or you find somebody on Google or social media, and it's either a reputable breeder or it's a backyard breeder or it's a pet store, right? And so with us being educated on the groomer's end, we would say only go with a reputable breeder, right? But if an owner doesn't know the difference and they just trust that everybody that breeds a breed is doing it for the better of the breed, that it's just a naive part of looking for a dog if you're not a dog person or if you don't have the knowledge. So anyway, my point is, if Doodles didn't exist, they would still look for another dog, whether it was a Doodle or not. So let's say they find a standard poodle breeder, okay? And the poodle breeder is a really good breeder, and so they do all the genetic testing. They're OFA certified. The parents were show parents to make sure that they're keeping the conformation and the lineage. They're temperament tested. Let's just say that it's all of those things, right? That breeder is going to tell this new owner, this is how often it needs to be groomed, unless you want a really practical haircut and then it needs groomed less, but this is a high maintenance dog. So a good breeder is going to tell you that it's a high maintenance dog. A backyard breeder or a pet store is going to tell you none of those things. So my point is, even if it was a purebred dog, it all goes back to the breeder and how they're educating the people that are buying these dogs. So I think that as groomers, our main focus needs to be on educating the owners and the breeders so that they know what they're getting. What they're getting is something that is either 50%, 75%, or more of a standard poodle. And these coats are high maintenance. The owners don't know this because the breeders don't tell them. And the breeders don't tell them because they're not breeding purebred dogs. There's no conformation guidelines. There's no hair guideline, coat guideline. There's no standard for this breed. So the breeders not only are breeding mixed breed dogs, which, you know, if you're going to cross any breed, a golden retriever is amazing and a poodle is amazing. And we love the dogs, don't get me wrong. It really just comes down to the lack of education. So I think, and I'll probably get a lot of negativity for this, but I think that if you're a groomer and you are having issues with multiple doodles that are coming into your shop and the owners, you are part of the problem because you're not educating. And if you're passionate about what you do and your job, you will educate the owners and come up with a plan. Let's just say, okay, you want to keep your dog fluffy, right? So how many times can you comb and brush your dog every week, right? So if most people, let's face it, don't have time for sitting down 45 minutes every other night and combing their dog out. So let's find something a little more practical. Or how often can you come to the groomer? You may not have 45 minutes yourself to comb your dog out, but if we bathe and brush it out and you bring them in every 2 weeks, then we can maintain this coat. If you want to come in every 4 weeks, let's do a little shorter of a haircut, but something still fluffy and cute, but a little more manageable. And if you're wanting to stretch this out to like 6 or 8 weeks, we're going to have to go with shorter. It doesn't have to be shaved, but it does need to be a shorter, more practical haircut so that you can maintain it at home and we can maintain to do our job here, and then everybody's happy. And so if that's not a conversation that you're having with these owners, you're part of the problem and you're part of your own demise. So I guess I do understand why groomers are upset with doodle owners because of the lack of knowledge, but you can't really blame them for it. So let's pick it up where the breeder should have started, and let's educate these owners because there's such a big part of our industry, and that is something we really need to accept and we need to work with. And if we don't educate them, then we're the problem. So I just wanted to talk about this today because I don't know if certain clients of mine, you know, we love Doodles and we love all of our clients, and all of our clients, we have had this conversation, and they're all on recurring appointments, and we hardly ever see a Doodle that is matted anymore because we're just on this maintenance program. So if you can offer that to your clients, if I can help you with the conversations and the questions that need to be asked, let me know. If any Doodle clients or owners have any questions, please let me know. We do know some more reputable breeders in the area that do offer the genetic testing, and they go above and beyond what most Doodle breeders are lacking in, and that's the education part of it, because a lot of people don't understand that when they're buying a cheaper Doodle, you know, they may get into hip dysplasia and cancers and a lot of the problems that both of these breeds tend to carry that they're just not aware of because they're just buying a dog. And so I just want everybody to realize that they would buy a dog regardless. So if it's not a Doodle, it would be a purebred dog from either a reputable breeder or a backyard breeder or a pet store. And we really need to think about those things before we bash these owners, because at the end of the day, we all just love the dogs, right? And if that's what you're truly in it for, then we need to help get on the same page and educate everybody so that we're not bashing owners on the back end, and owners aren't bashing groomers for not wanting to do their job. Let's kind of come together on this, because they're getting more and more a higher percentage in our industry, and I think that this is a really important topic. So I'm interested to see what you think, and ask any questions, feel free. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe so that you can see more, so that we can continue this conversation, because I think that this is a big elephant in the room for a lot of people, and I hope this helps. All right, here's some Doodles in our shop. And as you can see, we pretty much each have one on our table, and they are all very well behaved, and we love them.